Hey there everybody, this is the normal setup I would have for one of my videos, which is normally playing baseball board games, be it Stratomatic, APA, Inside Pitch, Payoff Pitch, Replay Baseball, History Maker Baseball, Pine Tar Baseball, can go on and on I guess. But today I'm going to do something a little bit different, or at least tonight I should say. Now what I have on the board right now is the 1989 game between the Orioles and the Red Sox, an inside pitch. I've already actually played a couple of innings, and the Red Sox lead at 2-0 on a Greenwell 2-run homer in the bottom of the first. Orioles answered back. A single by Brady Anderson. He went to second on a ground out by Bradley, and then Joe Orsulak knocked him in, makes the score 2-1 after 3. But I'm going to set that to the side right now because I want to try something a little bit different. Recently I have been watching a lot of videos from a lot of the really good channels out there of guys who collect baseball cards, not just collect them, but open up wax boxes, be they junk wax or some of the higher end boxes that you would get from Baseball Card Exchange. And so I actually have a box of 1990 Upper Deck that I started to crack open, and I cracked open 10 packs of them. There's 36 packs in a box, I do believe. So I got 26 packs left, so I said, why not? Let's see, let me take my maiden voyage at breaking cards and see how they do. So what I'm going to do is move my normal things to the side, and I've got the 1990 Upper Deck. Still got them in the box. I did already open up one side, so I've already got a lot of these players here. Now the couple of players that I got out of the first few cards I opened, I'll show some of those cards, some of the notable ones anyway. There's a Edgar Martinez rookie. There's a Bo Jackson, and I like the Upper Deck. I've always liked the Upper Deck because they give you this 2 pictures plus the stats and whatnot, so I really like how they do that compared to the old tops. Then you had a John Olerud rookie, a Barry Bonds, this interesting Nolan Ryan 5,000 strikeout card. It gives you some information on that. A Tino Martinez rookie, and Don Mattingly, Donnie Baseball. So now I'm going to take my maiden voyage and see how I do on ripping packs. These don't rip, I don't think, as easy as the old tops and things used to do, but we'll see what we get. I wanted to try this out before I went out and started buying wax boxes and breaking them on the channel. I wanted to see how I did on these. All right, so let's look and see what we have. We have Tom Gordon, Flash Gordon, and these cards are kind of one up, right side up, upside down, whatever you want to call them. Mike Schmidt retires. I don't remember seeing this card before. Mike Schmidt retires. That's an interesting card. Card number 20 in the set. Mike Schmidt retires. We have Kevin Appier, another Royal. Brian 10 Downing Street is what Chris Berman used to call him from the Angels. Steve Finley, an Oriole, is on the DL in this game because he got hurt in the second game of the first game of the season. Bob Melvin, another Oriole, he's on the bench in this game. Then they get the Pirates hologram, and we need to flip these over again. Boy, they're just inside out. A little bit tough here. Let's see what we got here. Dave Magadan, Daryl Boston, Mark Parent, Omar Vizquel. Some people wanted to give him consideration for Hall of Fame, but he just didn't hit. I mean, he's a great fielder, but not quite like Ozzie Smith, who got it on his glove. There's a Ricky Henderson. He's always a popular Hall of Famer. Ricky Henderson, I'll put him to the side with the rest of them. Then we have Brian Harper, Dickie Thon, and last but not least in this pack, Dave Martinez, manager of the Nationals. There he is as an Expo. Going old school Nationals there with the Expos. All right, let's go to the next pack. Like I said, the 90 Upper Deck was reasonably priced, which is why I bought it. I don't want to delve into card collecting with the most expensive stuff. My budget doesn't allow it, so maybe one of these days if I ever get to the higher levels of YouTube, I can do some higher grade stuff. All right, here's Jim Rice, George Canelli, never heard of him. San Diego Padres with Benito Santiago. There's Rick Sutcliffe, ESPN announcer. Domingo Ramos, probably Vince Coleman's. What the only thing that makes this card worth anything is Vince Coleman being there. All right, now we have Jeff Weatherby, Dwayne Ward. Some more commons. Let's see who we have here. Bob Kipper, lefty specialist of the Pirates. Well, these things are a little bit irritating that they put them inside reverse like that, upside down and whatnot. And there's Billy Buck, late in his career with the Royals. Almost looks funny to see him in a Royal outfit. So used to him seeing him as a Dodger or a Cub or a Red Sox, but to see him in a Royal uniform is kind of weird. Charles Hudson with the Tigers. Joe McGreen, good lefty for a couple of years. Speaking of lefties, Rob Murphy, a lefty specialist for the Red Sox and Reds. There with his laptop, I guess, checking out the data of the batters he's got to face. Then we have Mariano Duncan, the Reds at the time. Checklist and Ellis Burks of the Red Sox. So not a whole lot happening in that pack. Let's go to the next pack and see what we get. We have to see Jack Clark on the back. So let's see who else we have. We have Gary Wayne, a typical lefty specialist. In fact, if you look at his numbers, 60 games, 71 innings. That's actually more than I thought he would have because he's usually used to face a couple of batters, and that's about it. Tony Armas of the Angels. Deion Sanders. We got Deion, prime time. There he is, prime time with the headband. Kind of reminds me of McMahon with the headband. And there's Fred McGriff, who I believe will someday get into the Hall of Fame. He is there. Phil Schroeder, Mike Smithson, and Mike Boddicker, former Oriole. Speaking of this Red Sox-Oriole game, he's actually the starter in the game I was playing, Mike Boddicker. All right, let's flip it over since we already know Jack Clark is there. There's Jack Clark. Then we have Craig Lefferts, tough lefty. Mark Davis, who won the Cy Young in 1989 with his 44 saves and 1.85 ERA. Jimmy Key, tough lefty. Ron Darling, Mets announcer. Bob Welch, Ebony Eyes Welch. Jim Corsi and Scott Bankhead. So McGriff came out of that, so that was pretty decent. Let's go on to the next pack. And let's see who we can find. So we start getting some duplicates here. I don't know. Tommy Green, rookie. That was big in the day because he was really big with the Phillies, actually, but didn't really pan out anything beyond that. Here's Bill Doran, as Chris Berman used to call him, and Tony Gwynn sliding in. John Franco, longtime reliever, another checklist, which I never really liked. I never cared for the checklist. Terry Leach. We got a Tom Glavine. Tom Glavine, this is his third-year card, I guess. 88 was his, not upper deck, but 88 in the cards in general was his rookie. So Tom Glavine. We have Geronimo Baroa of also the Braves. Another Ron Darling. That's interesting. We have that many Ron Darlings that close. Here's Sean Dunston. This looks like Lenny Dykstra Nails. Had that great 93 season. Of course, that's not going to come up for a couple of years, but 89 was the season he got traded from the Mets to the Phillies. Great trade by the Phillies, by the way. Kevin Romine. And then we have Junior Ortiz. And last but not least, Torey Lovullo. Next pack. And I realize I'm not an expert at doing these card breaks, so I appreciate you guys being patient with me. Jose I've heard his name pronounced Vizcaino and Vizcaino. I believe it's Vizcaino is the proper pronunciation, but don't quote me on it. Jason Grimsley. There's Phil Bradley. He's in this game I'm playing. Mark Carrion. Mark Carrion, my wayward son. There he is. Powerful hitter for the Mets for a couple of years. Really specialized in clubbing lefties. Rick Russell. Facing Greg Maddux. You can see that Greg, you can barely make out 31 there. That's Greg Maddux of the Cubs. There's Jeff Russell, the Tigers. Steve Searcy. We got a John Smoltz. John Smoltz. How about that? His second year card. First, well, I guess he was in the his rookie card was the 89 upper deck, which is well above my price range right now. So that's why I went with 90. There's Barry Bonds again. I got another Barry Bonds. So how about that? A Barry Bonds and a John Smoltz in the same pack. Here's Bill Spires. Jesse Barfield. Fernando Valenzuela. They got him batting. Interestingly enough, on his main picture, they have him batting. Interesting. Gary Pettis and Dave Gallagher finish out the pack. Pretty decent pack there with Bonds and Smoltz. Pretty decent pack, especially back in the day. Next pack, we have Doyle Alexander. He's most known, I think, for being the one that Detroit traded John Smoltz to get back in 1987. There's the Pirates leader with Bobby Bowe on the cover, who every July 1st gets paid $1 million, known as Bobby Bonilla Day. Andy Bennis, I used to think he was going to be a really top prospect, and he had a couple good years, but never really panned out. Don't know if he had injuries or what. And speaking of flameouts, Greg Jeffries, boy, his card was really hot today. You can see Ryan Sandberg sliding in there. But his card was really the one to get back in the day. But, of course, now you can get it for a song. All right, Mike Harkey. John Kruk. John Kruk now announces with the Phillies. Part of that great 93 team. Mike Smithson. Ivan Calderon of the White Sox. Another checklist, of course. There's the Hawk, Andre Dawson with the Cubs. Trying to make people dizzy. It's making me dizzy just trying to flip the cards around. There's the Hawk, Andre Dawson, Hall of Famer. Barry Lyons. Well, I take that back. I'm not sure if Dawson's a Hall of Famer or not, to be honest with you. I don't know that he is. Maybe I spoke too soon there. Craig Worthington, he's in this game that I'm playing, as well as Kevin Hickey, lefty specialist for the Orioles. Stan Javier of the A's, and Melito Perez. I think he's Pascual Perez's brother, but I'm not 100% sure on that. He may not be. He may just have the same last name, but I thought I read somewhere that they were, but I don't have that information in front of me to verify it or deny it, so I'm just going to not worry about it. All right, next pack. Here's Andre Dawson again. How about that? Jose Cano. Probably no relation to Robinson Cano. Here's Eric Anthony. Roberto Kelly. He was a big Yankee prospect when he first came up, but never really could hit enough. Always field, but never hit. Nelson Liriano. Floyd Bannister. Trevor Wilson of the Giants. Ricky Jordan. Now, this is a guy that when I was collecting cards back in the late 80s, I went out and I bought a whole bunch of Ricky Jordan cards for like 50 cents a piece when he was a hot rookie. And of course now they're worth about a nickel. So, you know, took a chance on Ricky Jordan. He didn't pan out, but I always liked him as a player. Here's Andy Van Slyke. There's a Hall of Famer, Kirby Puckett, right there. The Union Gap, Kirby Puckett, as Chris Berman would call him. Go to the Tigers, Matt Noakes. Dan Plesac. Not only a ESPN or MLB Network announcer, I guess it's MLB Network, but also the voice in MLB The Show, or one of the voices. Joey Bell, don't call me Albert Bell. Boy, talk about, this would have been a hot card if he had panned out to be what he was supposed to be. That's his rookie card, or at least his first year upper deck card. There's Israel Sanchez. I don't know much about him. And Lou Whitaker. Lou Whitaker, borderline. People want to give him consideration for the Hall of Fame. Don't know that he's quite there. I think he's just in the very good, not in the... He's in the Hall of Very Good, not in the Hall of Fame. But then again, I think Carol Baines is in the Hall of Very Good, not the Hall of Fame. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't get a vote, so it doesn't really matter what I think. Here's John Cangelosi. And I've got another John Olerud rookie. How about that? John Olerud had quite the career. I don't know if his rookie card's worth all that much, but it's still nice to have. And he was a nice, solid player. David West, prominent left-handed reliever. Junior Felix. Mike Harkey. Ernie Witt. Turn these over around here. Ernie Witt. Bob Guerin. Charlie O'Brien. Hey, we got a Randy Johnson. Look at that. Randy Johnson second-year card. Randy Johnson second-year card. That's not bad. Randy Johnson. Can't go wrong with Randy Johnson. Chris Carpenter. Kenny Williams. Brian Clutterbuck. Rob Ducey. I used to call him Rob A.C. Ducey back in the day. Bruce Hurst. Terry Kennedy. And Ted Power. So we're whittling down a little bit, or whittling down, I should say. You can tell I'm out of my element opening cards as a video versus playing games. So very interesting. See how this goes, how hopefully it doesn't flame out too bad. Here's Eddie Murray, late in his career with the Dodgers. There's Mike Scott with the Astros leaders. Greg Moonman Minton, reliever for the Angels. Tom Brookins. Harold Reynolds, speaking of analyst for MLB Network. There he is. Rick Leach, former Michigan quarterback. The other Griffey, Ken Griffey Sr. Don't think his rookie card is worth quite as much as Junior is. Bob Boone. Lenny Dykstra again, got another one of nails. You're bound to get some duplicates when you get these wax boxes like this, or foil boxes, or whatever they're called. Gallagher, Wayne, we've seen these again. Carmen Castillo. Steve Olin, tragically, I believe he was tragically killed along with a couple other players for the Indians in a boating accident. He was a promising closer for the Indians. He only had one save in that year, but in the early 90s, he was 90, 91, I believe, he was really doing well, and then tragically lost his life in a boating accident. Next pack, we have Milt Thompson, Jim Gott. There's Julio Franco with the Rangers leaders, another John Franco. How about that? We had a Julio Franco and a John Franco. And there's Terry Francona, manager of the of the Indians, former manager of the Red Sox. There is Dave Schmidt. He's on that 89 Oriole team that I'm playing a game with. Mickey Weston might have been, but he's not on our opening day, that's for sure. Flip it around. Jim Rice. He's on that. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's on that set that I'm playing. Mike Pagliarulo, former Yankee. Don Carmen, lefty for the Phillies, and Gene Larkin, switch hitter for the Twins. And there's Dave Stewart. He had a couple of really outstanding years. Had some so-so years in his earlier days, but for about a 4 or 5 year period, he was a hoss. I mean, he would traditionally throw 260, 270 innings and win 20 games. Tom Hinkie, a really solid reliever. I don't know how many saves he ended up with, but he was a pretty dominant closer in his day. Jeff Robinson and Dale Mahorsic. So we're whittling on down. Let's move these others up here so we can keep everything. Now that whole bottom is gone. We'll keep it going here. And we have Chris Bosio, Kurt Young, Matt Marullo, Tony Phillips, the Swiss Army knife of baseball players. He'd play everywhere. Ron Hasse, Danny Tartable, Jeff Montgomery, Tim Burke. Boy, you're talking about a solid reliever. Tim Burke, 1 year. Look at this. 7-0 and 87 with a 1.19 ERA and 18 saves. That's about as good as it gets. But he can never really put anything together to make it really a good year or a good career. Here's Mike Henneman, closer for the Tigers. And there's Mickey Tettleton, Fruit Loops. He was known as Fruit Loops. 1989, he had that special year where he hit 26 home runs, 65 ribbies, and really sparked the Why Not Orioles of 1989. Here's Larry Sheets, another Oriole. Glenn, no brags, just facts for the Brewers. Rick Cerrone, he kind of went all over the place in his career. There's a Tony Gwynn. I always like to get Tony Gwynn cards. Can't go wrong with Hall of Famers. Trying to see who that is, trying to tag him out. I don't think that's Doran. It could be, though. Could be Doran. It's hard to tell. I know it's Astro. I just can't tell who it is. And Tom Cotton Candiotti, the knuckleballer, is the other one in the pack. All right, so we're whittling our way down. And let's see who we have next. Storm Davis. Tom Dries. He's a rated rookie, but he didn't do anything. They missed on that one. They missed on a lot of their rookies. Vince Coleman, Cardinal leader. Mitch Webster. Phil Bradley, solid Oriole. Sandy Alomar Jr., his cards were hot in the day, but he never quite lived up to the hype. not like his brother did. Jose De Leon, another hologram piece. Steve Sachs. I'm sorry, no, it's Jeff Hamilton. It looked like Steve Sachs at first. It's Jeff Hamilton. I think Sachs wore number 3 in the day, but I think in '89 he was already with the Yankees. So Hamilton took over. Miguel Garcia, never heard of him. Frank Tanana, he was around for a while. KG lefty. Dan Pasqua, former Yankee. Kurt, what was that man wearing for the Giants? Jeff Blauser for the Atlanta Braves, had a couple of good years. Ellis Burks and John Smiley. All right, let's look, before I rip into this pack, let's take a look at the pack and see what it says on there. Should have done that earlier, I guess. 1990 edition, a minimum of one 3D team logo hologram per pack. 15 cards per pack. Counterfeit proof cards, random sequencing tamper proof pack with the foil pack. Can win 4 1991 season tickets to a stadium of your choice. I guess that's in this contest that they had back in the day. Of course, that's irrelevant now. So let's go on, and of course I didn't do a very good job of breaking this one and kind of making a mess of the wrapper. All right, Spike Owen from the old. I used to love the Expo uniform. Some of those uniforms back in the 80s. I just used to love some of these uniforms back in the 80s, and that's one of them, the Expos. Randy Nosek, never heard of him, or Nosek, I think it's Nosek. Ron Karkovice, Don Slaught, Roberto Kelly again, Bob Stanley, and there's a couple people I know that, one in particular who dreads the name Bob Stanley. Rick Russell, Jay Bell, former Pirate, Frank Williams, Don August, Manny Lee, Mel Hall, Larry Anderson. He was also infamous. He was part of that trade with Houston, with Boston, I should say, that sent Jeff Bagwell to Houston. So Larry Anderson got traded to Boston by Houston, and Boston let Bagwell go to the Astros, which I'm sure they regret. Here's Jack Clark. Again, I like the 2 different pictures on there. Looks like he's holding somebody back, like they wanted to get in an argument or something. Or he's on the, looks like he's on the pitcher's mound, so maybe the pitcher didn't want to get relieved in the game, so he's trying to hold him back. I don't. It's always interesting trying to figure out what's going on in some of these pictures. Don Paul. Whoops. Let's go to the next pack. We're slowly working our way through the box. All right, here's Eddie Williams. Another checklist. Dennis Cook. Domingo Ramos with Vince Coleman sliding in on him. Another Don Mattingly. Can't go wrong with Don Mattingly. It's just Hall of Fame or no, he's kind of hard to go wrong with Don Mattingly. I think he ought to, if Baines is in there, I think for what he did, as dominant as he was, I think Mattingly and Murphy both deserved a Hall. Just my opinion. Mike Boddicker, Mike Rockford, Randy Kramer, Sean Hilligus, Chris Basio, Mickey Hatcher, Pat Sheridan, Felix the Cat Fermin of the Indians, also played with the Pirates, Ted Power, and Israel Sanchez. Not much in that one other than Mattingly. Let's go to the next pack. And let's see who we have to offer here. Brady Anderson had that one year where he hit 50 home runs. That was obviously, or not obviously, but you would think that would, with a steroid induced performance. Rookie checklist. So there's all the rookie checklists that are there for the rated rookies. Guess that's better than a regular checklist. Kevin Moss, boy, talk about somebody that came out firing for the Yankees. He hit like 10 home runs in a month or something. I mean, it was incredible. He just was like, he just hit home run after home run after home run. Then all of a sudden he just fizzled out. Never to be heard from again, but he was a hot thing back in I want to say 90. Might have been 89, but I think it was 90. Honeycutt, Rick Honeycutt, Dave Parker, Dwayne Ward, Floyd Bannister. Starting to get some duplicates here. Willie, don't call me, or Guillermo, don't call me Willie Hernandez. MVP in 1984, along as a Cy Young. R.J. Reynolds. Jim Eisenreich. Roy Smith. Nice high leg kick from Roy Smith. Brooke Jacoby. The Indians, Joe Baver. Reliever. Steve Wilson and Gary Pettis, one of the fastest guys in baseball at the time, but couldn't hit a lick. Came up with the Angels and didn't last but a couple of years. The Angels gave up on him. Tigers tried him out because they were so bad, but they saw he couldn't hit either and just let him go, and that's kind of where he left off, I think. Jeffrey Leonard, one flap down, 1987 famous season where he was a controversial figure in the NLCS against the Cardinals. And there's a Sammy Sosa rookie. How about that? Sammy Sosa, baseball been very good to me. I believe that was credited to him. Sammy Sosa. Ben Mcdonald, another guy who really was hyped to be a big guy out of LSU, #1 pick. And actually, he's done some broadcasting for the Orioles and actually does a pretty good job as a color commentator. So he may be on MLB Network or ESPN one of these days. Barry Larkin, I think that's his 3rd year card. Probably his 3rd year card. 87's his rookie, so still not bad. Barry Larkin, Hall of Famer. Fred McGriff, another Fred McGriff card. Again, I think he's borderline Hall of Fame, if not in. Here's Dick Schofield. Jeff Weatherby, starting to get some more duplicates. Mark Portugal. Matt Winters, Jerry Reed. Another checklist. Todd Froworth, one of those submarining right-handers. Another Lenny Dykstra. That's like the 3rd Lenny Dykstra I've come across. Jeff Brantley, who I believe is also a announcer for either ESPN or I think it's ESPN. And Sean Abner, another hot Mets prospect that didn't quite pan out. Went to the Padres, but still didn't find his niche. Next pack. Wrappers are starting to pile up on me over here. Torey Lovullo, Yankee leaders, and I guess that's Steve Sachs. Another checklist. Boy, you get no, I'm sorry, it's the leaders, not checklist. It's the Indians checklist with Joe Carter, not your regular checklist. Here's Gary Carter. So you had a Joe Carter and a Gary Carter back to back. Rick Sutcliffe, seen him again. Tim Cruz, I believe he was the other one. Was he the other one who was killed in that accident with Steve Olin? I think he was the one when he was with the Indians. I think, don't quote me on it, but I think it was him and Steve Olin who was in the boating accident. Could be wrong, or maybe he didn't get killed. Maybe he was one of the ones who got injured. I'm trying to remember which. I don't have it off the top of my head. Gary Milkey, or Melky. Tim Jones, or Timmy Jones. Chris Carpenter. Doug DeCenzo. Terry Poole. Kevin Smallmouth or Largemouth Bass, however you want to refer to him. Mike Bielecki. Had a couple good years as a pitcher. Gene Larkin. And Bill Landrum. All right, we're working our way through the end. Almost. Like I said, this is virgin territory for me, so if it doesn't go well, this might be the only time you ever see me open up cards, but we'll see how it goes. I like to be able to do both, actually, but don't know if that's going to work out. Greg Walker. There's a Mark McGuire for the Oakland A's team card. Mark McGuire. Scott Service. Todd Benziger. George Bell. George Taco Bell. Had really couple really good years. Look at that. 40 in 1987, 47 homers, but then he kind of dwindled off a bit. Dante Bichette, his son Bo Bichette with the Blue Jays, looks to have a promising career. So Dante Bichette might be surpassed by his son Bo. Here's Eric Plunk. Juan Samuel. Greg Hibbard. Dennis Powell. Lefty Alan Anderson. Twins. Oil Can Boyd, one of the best nicknames in baseball back in the day. Oil Can Boyd. Von Purple Hayes. John Teenage Wetland. And Wayne Tollison. Yes, you can tell I was influenced by Chris Berman growing up. Or not growing up, I was a teenager at the time, but in the 80s when they had Baseball Tonight and he did the highlights, he had pretty much a name for everybody. And those names stuck with me. Here's Jody Reed. Ernest Riles. I know it probably irritates people for me to say those names, but just sometimes it just happens. There's Mike Flanagan and Kent Herbeck, a couple of lefties. A lefty batter, first baseman, a lefty pitcher. Rick Mailer, used to be a longtime member of the Braves and finished his career with the Reds. Mike Let Go Gallego, utility infielder. Walt Three Blind Weiss. Rick My Sharona. And let's see who we have here. We got Drew Hall, lefty reliever. Todd Burns, a righty for the A's. It's all backwards here. Kelly Mann doesn't really pan out for the Braves. There's another Tino Martinez rookie. And another Nolan Ryan, 5,000 strikeout cards. I got two of those out of the box. Kevin Elster and Mark Grace. Mark Grace, a fine hitter in his day, but kind of fell into the Will Clark type mold, where he's just a good hitter, good average, and you know, the Hall of pretty good, as you might say. It's Pete Incaviglia talking about strikeouts. Pete Incaviglia could do it. You think they guys strike out a lot today? Pete Incaviglia, readily over 100. He'd be way over 100. He'd probably be over 200 right now. He's the modern day Chris Davis. It's Chris Hammond, rookie. Robbie Thompson, and that is Jerome Walton sliding in from the Cubs. Pete O'Brien. John Dobson. And Pete Smith. And another checklist. Steve Rosenberg. Sounds like he ought to be a lawyer. Name like that, or something along those lines. Andres Thomas. Frank DePino. Kevin Romine. Can we see Kevin Romine? There he is. And another Dave Martinez card. How about that? Another Dave Martinez card. That, well, let's see. How did he do that year? 274, not bad. Pretty decent hitter. Nothing to write home about, but nothing to sneeze at either. Ken Oberkfell and Bip Roberts. All right, we're winding down. We have about 6 packs left, maybe 6 or 7. And let's see. Ricky Henderson, another Ricky Henderson card, Hall of Famer. Schmidt retires. We've seen that one again. That's come up at least twice. Rob Nelson. Orlando Rooms. Kelly Gruber. John Orton. Jack Doherty, the Texas Rangers. Bob Nepper. Oops, just dropped him there. Bob Nepper. If I remember correctly, when he was with the Astros, he had some problems with the women's group. I think he may have said something offensive to women back in the 80s, but I'm not sure what the whole deal was, but I believe he was associated with something about, I remember reading something or hearing something about that, but you can always Google it and find out, I guess. Jim Corsi. There's Greg Maddux. How about that? Greg Maddux. Can't go wrong with another Hall of Famer. Greg Maddux. It's not his rookie, but still, it's a nice card to have. Greg Maddux. Jim Clancy. Yet another checklist. Terry Pendleton, former MVP of 1991. Kurt Stillwell Angel. And Joe Girardi, former Yankee manager, and may again someday be a manager, possibly with the Mets. You never know. Mets have an opening, so never know where he might surface. So here we go. We got another Tony Gwynn sighting. Always good to have another Tony Gwynn. Can't have too many Tony Gwynns, I don't guess. David Wells. Tigers leaders. And that looks like Lou Whitaker. Terry Francona again. Tommy Gregg starting to get some repeats here. Ken Griffey Sr. and Gerald Clark. He was the other Clark in San Diego. Not named Jack. Charlie Huff, the old man, Charlie Huff. And another thing, back in the day, I used to like this look, the classic look with the stirrup socks. I wish they go back to that. I don't like the all the way up to your knees or all the way down in your feet. I like the old classic stirrup socks like that. Cecil Espy, Brooke Jacoby again, Kurt Ford, the Phillies, another Greg Maddux. Boy, can't go wrong with another Greg Maddux card. Another Hall of Famer. Vince Coleman, Greg Cadaret, and Herm Winningham. All right, getting down to the nitty-gritty. See who else we can get. We have Willie Wilson, Scott Service. Again, there are no big rookies per se in this 1990 thing, so it's not like I'm looking for a Ken Griffey rookie or something. It's just some nice cards to have and a nice low-budget box to open. Bill Wegman. So just something fun to do. If I want to get more serious into it, I'll get a higher valued box. Nolan Ryan. Oh, never go wrong with Nolan Ryan cards. Even in 1989, 16-10, 3.20 ERA, and he struck out 300 batters. And that was when he was 42 years old. So as a 42-year-old, he struck out 300 batters. Here's Les Lancaster, Felix Jose, Jim Gantner, John Cerruti, Gary Gaetti, Dwight Smith, another rookie that just didn't quite pan out, and Jose Oquendo. All right, we're down to 3 packs to go. And if you're still watching, thank you. I hope I'm not boring you to tears. Like I said, it's not sure what I'm doing with these. All right, Harold Baines, recent Hall of Famer. There he is, Harold Baines. Harold Baines, back when he was with Texas. Scott Sanderson. And I'm sure I'm losing focus on this. The cards are going in and out of focus. There's a Bo Jackson. Something else I got to work on. Tom Browning. Tony Fernandez. Kent Anderson. Gino Petralli. Bruce 2 Minutes for Ruffin. R.J. Reynolds. Ron Gant, another guy who came on the scene and just had a couple of good years but then kind of went away. Keith Hernandez, Mr. Stratomatic. He always talks about Stratomatic. And he's also known as for the Seinfeld episodes. Here's Mookie Wilson. Juan Augusto, tough lefty reliever. Vance Law. I believe he was a son of Vern Law, but I'm not sure. And there's a Roger Clemens, last card in the pack. Roger Clemens. Can't go wrong with the Roger Clemens. I think he will eventually get in the Hall of Fame. He'll eventually get voted in, as will Barry Bonds. So I don't think it's a bad idea to collect either one of those because I think they can only go up in value. Mike Greenwell. There's the Giants leader, and that is Kevin Mitchell on the front. Hal Morris had a decent career. Keith Miller. Don Ossie, former Oriole reliever. Todd Stottlemyre. Jose Alvarez. Bryn Smith. Again, he got him batting. How about that? And I love those Expos uniforms. I don't care what anybody says. Frank Williams. Another Omar Vizquel. Vince Coleman. Gus Polidor. Dave Clark. Dave Bergman. And a Ryan Sandberg with Deion James sliding in. So, Rhino. Always liked Rhino. One of my favorite players. Even though I wasn't a Cub fan, I was a big Ryan Sandberg fan. And last but not least, the final pack. So thank you all for sticking with me. I got some mess to clean up here with all these packs to clean up. Mike Pagliarulo. David West. Another John Olerud rookie. So that's not a bad haul. Jeff Reed. And of course, these are impossible to search because it's not like the old wax packs. With these, if you break into them, there's no way you can get them back together. So you don't have to worry about having these authenticated. You just get them because there's no way they're going to be searched. Junior Felix and Chuck Finley, and I believe that's Harold Baines running into him. I think Harold Baines was number 3 for the White Sox. Chad Kruger. Rick Rhoden. Rick Rhoden made more fame when he was on Celebrity Golf with the Stars. Won that a couple times. Chris Gwynn never quite managed to do what his brother did. Rafael Belliard, pretty much the Mario Mendoza of his day. Mike Sosa. Another Fernando card. Fernando Valenzuela. Terry Mulholland Drive. Here's the big cat, Andres Galarraga. And last but not least, Craig Lefferts. So that's going to do it for my first attempt. This is the 1990 Upper Deck set. And we'll look at some of what I pulled out of some of the more prominent cards. And there are Olerud, Sandberg, Clemens, Baines, Ryan, Gwynn, Maddux, Henderson, Ryan, Martinez, McGriff, Larkin, Sosa, Mattingly, Gwynn again, Rice, Johnson, Olerud again, Puckett, Bonds, Smoltz, Glavine, McGriff, Sanders, Henderson, Mattingly, Martinez, Ryan again, Bonds, Olerud again, Bo Jackson, and Edgar Martinez. So not a bad haul, and like these boxes are very reasonably priced compared to trying to go out and buy an 89, because the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie is going to elevate those cards immensely. I think the box of these was like $12 or something. It wasn't much at all, I can tell you that. So that's why I decided to delve into them and try them out. I've been sitting under my bed for a long time, but I started getting into watching some of these videos where guys are doing junk wax breaks and maybe some not so junk wax breaks, and just decided to pull this out since I had it and see how it went. And I guess I'll try to use the box to store the other cards that I didn't pull to the side. Just kind of put them there and put them up on the shelf, and it'd be nice to look at them from time to time, especially if I'm playing the 1989 season like I'm doing in Inside Pitch. Today, it's nice to be able to look at the cards of the players that played during this era and see some of the players' cards, put a picture with the face, a face with the player card. And then on top, I'll just put the main guys there. And then close up shop, as they say. And there you go, 1990 Upper Deck. Glad you were able to stick it out all this time and be patient. And if people seem to like this, then I'll look into getting more wax boxes. I've been looking at getting some from the 80s, potentially. Early 90s and 80s, that's kind of my wheelhouse. 70s would be way overpriced for me to be able to afford. Some of those guys out there, a lot of those guys out there have Patreon accounts, and they have people buying into it, and that pays for their boxes. But anything I get out of the box is coming out of my pocket, so I can only afford but just so much. But I'll see how it goes, because I do enjoy it. I'm trying to get back into the hobby a little bit, so might start doing some more either junk wax or just mid-range wax boxes. See how they go. Thank you again for tuning in, and if you like seeing me do this as opposed to playing the game, or if you like to see me do this maybe as an offshoot or change of pace from playing the cards and dice game on the channel, just let me know that. If you'd rather me just stick to the cards and dice and forget the baseball cards, let me know that too, and I'll take that consideration as well, because that's going to determine whether I buy more wax boxes or not. All right, so hope you enjoyed that, and take care. Be safe out there. If you find other channels that are doing baseball card breaks, please subscribe to them and like their videos and give them support, and let them know you're watching. Encourage them to go out and put more on that on YouTube. I know I enjoy at work just listening to somebody break junk wax boxes in the background. Just as a nice sound, and brings back good memories from my early days. So that's gonna do it from here. As usual, I will see you all down the road.